John, you are into PR. Does it really matter to you which of these two media, if you like, you channel your information through? Would you prefer one over the other?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the business of communicating, and we use the media to do that. Now, in terms of these categorizations of old media versus new media, I think that it's just using a broad sense to talk about some of the old media forms, traditional media forms, radio, television, newspapers, magazines, etc., in contrast to the new media forms, which are largely digital in nature and which are driven largely by the internet and technology. Now, you used the word competition earlier on. There's no competition. It's actually an evolutionary process. What has happened is that with the catalysm provided by the internet, media forms have had to evolve and change with time. And also, new ones have also emerged. To put it in a very practical way, in my space, in the IMC space, for example, we used to have two broad categorizations of media, what we call paid media and earned media. Paid media being the ones you pay for, and earned media being the ones you earn by virtue of the editorial quality or the news value of your output. But that has changed. Now you no longer have those two classifications. You have paid media now, you have earned media, you have shared media, which is basically social media, and you have owned media. Because now what we find is that brands can actually own media platforms. I mean, if you took an example of Coca-Cola International that has over 80 million followers on Facebook. Now imagine what they can reach, what they can do with that kind of platform. Or you took a Google, which started as a technology company, but it's now the biggest media company in the world. So these evolutions are real, and that's affecting everything we do. But beyond all of that, it's impacting the consumer significantly in the way he consumes information, even in his choice of media consumption, and even purchasing pattern, all of those kinds of things. Whereas with traditional media, it was pretty linear. Communication was linear. You sent out the message and it was consumed just like that. With digital media or new media, if you like, that has changed. Not only does the consumer consume the information, he can actually use it. He can like, he can unlike, he can comment, he can share.
That for you is important.
Yeah, that's, sorry?
I'm saying, and that for you, it's important because then
absolutely
it makes you
important
know
because it has changed the whole paradigm of communication completely. So it is that usability factor that makes the media social. And you know that nowadays, social media is almost ubiquitous. I mean, it's inevitable in our lives today.
Can I just chime in there, just to add to what you were saying? Because, for example, many newspaper editors and newspaper proprietors will tell you that the worst thing they ever did was to give out their content for free. So when newspapers started putting all their stuff online in the 1990s, they just did not understand the internet. So media companies and traditional media companies have to think about what their raison d'etre is. What is the reason that we still keep doing this? So if you take, for example, newspapers in the United Kingdom like The Times, like the Sun newspaper, who after many years of having their content online for free, have had to withdraw behind a paywall. And some of them are sustainable. The trouble is they miss out on the social capital, the factor of being able to share material on Facebook or on Twitter. That is something which is difficult to quantify. So you could be publishing the best content, which is sustainable financially, but the trouble is not enough people are seeing it. So newspapers like The Guardian, for example, have pledged that they will never take their material behind a paywall. It will be free forever. So you have these two competing models. So you have general newspapers, which want people to pay for their content, but you also have those who say it should be free. So you've got that. And then you also have niche magazines like the Financial Times, Business Day in South Africa, or the Wall Street Journal, who have their material behind paywalls because those are niche markets that can afford to charge people for the content. So that is the trouble. And what the Guardian does now, for example, is they have the comment is free, which is where literally anybody can write an article and put it there. Because you know what? Everybody has opinions. You can write a blog. Anybody can discover those opinions. So those things they give up for free. And then if you want something else, long form, more considered writing, then perhaps you have to pay for that content. The key thing, and this is what really panics traditional media houses, it's where are our next consumers going to come from? That we're constantly chasing young viewers and young readers because you know what? I mean, old people die, right? So you need to replenish. Where are the new readers going to come from? What are the reading habits and the consuming habits of newer people? How do we tap into that? So the traditional media, even if you call them that, still do the new media stuff. So, the BBC and CNN, they'll have Twitter accounts, they'll have Facebook accounts. Al Jazeera will have all these vignettes where they'll put 1-minute videos of the news, 30-second pieces of audio. Very, very new media things. Take Vice News, for example. Vice News, I think News Corporation, Rupert Murdoch's company, has, I think, 5% stake. A&E has 10% stake in Vice Media. And they're almost doing the same things as traditional media.